In this week's episode, let's discuss how witchy trial and error came to be. My origin story, if you will. Now let's go pick some dandelions.
Hey, I'm Michelle. I'm a Pisces Aries cusp, a neurodivergent creator, and I finally stopped overthinking so I could just start filming. This is Witchy Trial and Error. It's where I document the wins and the mistakes, because this is where the real learning happens anyway. So, let's get into it.
Alright, so you've made it this far. This is why witchy trial and error became a thing. I needed to switch from my crafting summers to summers that were no longer driven around markets and getting things done in a quantity that made sure I never ran dry at a market. And I'm ready to be done with that. I'm ready to not be as busy as a bee during the summer anymore. It's my turn to stop and smell the flowers. Okay, so why the shift from crafting to a YouTube channel called Witchy Trial and Error? Well, the simple reason is I'm allergic to shellfish and I'm allergic to coconut. And anything on the shelves anymore seems to have either a shellfish derivative or a coconut oil somewhere in the ingredients list, and I can use neither. I can eat neither. I can drink neither. And so because of that, here we are, making our own hair care, skin care, and trying new foods that I would never try before. And take a second and enjoy the storm with me before we move on to the trial and error part of the show. So these particular dandelions are being harvested to dry so that I can use them in, I believe I made 3 different hair and skincare oils with them. Why witchy trial and error? Well, life is a trial and an error, and here we are. So during this process, it took 5 times before I finally got it right and got my dandelions to where I wanted them to be. So let's start the process, shall we? So you'll see that we try to do the air drying method for the first 2 times. Different variables though, weather, humidity, when I picked the flowers, when I didn't pick the flowers. There are a lot of variables to this. Things that I really didn't take into account were the weather outside, the time of day that I picked the flowers. Again, I'm allergic to bees, so I have to work around them. And sometimes the weather wasn't permitting. Sometimes the humidity was extra high, sometimes it was super bright, super dry, and extremely warm. We've had a weird summer so far. Okay, so this time, after 2 tries of the exact same thing, minus whatever weather variable or time of day variables there were, I have to try something else. You can't keep trying the same thing over and over without any modifications and expect to get anywhere. And so I assumed that the humidity in my home was also causing issues with the drying time and how they dried. So we went with the oven option this time, and the results were a little better, marginally, but not much. Enter new gadget. While I know I could have kept using my oven is a big oven and it takes forever to preheat, and I don't want to let it run for 6 hours to dry some flowers. So I got a dehydrator. Smaller, same purpose, more efficient. Round 1 of the dehydrator. 2 things were done differently this time. Obviously, 1 being the dehydrator, and 2 being that I left the flowers whole. I put them in some face down, and I put some on their sides, and I put some so that they were essentially stem down, and I tried different positions with all of those. I did a much smaller trial batch this time. Honestly, I was tired of picking dandelions and watching it go to the same fluff, so I figured I'd try smaller this time. While trial 4 was a success, it was a small batch success, and now I have to up the time and up the amount of flowers, and we'll see how round 5 goes. All of trial 5's flowers were face down. At this point, I also had the confidence that this was going to work, and if I needed to allow longer time, I could, but I went and picked a pretty large haul this time. So my suspicions were correct, and I did definitely need to up the amount of time that they were in the dehydrator. The temperature was the same, but at the 4-hour mark, I knew it still had some improvement to go. Finally, the end of the night came, and it was 7 hours in at 165 degrees, and they were perfect. I couldn't be more excited to be able to move on from this portion of witchy trial and error. Come back in a couple weeks and you can see all the skincare and hair care items that I made with the dandelions. Important side note, my neighbors all still spray their yards. And so I have a small area of my yard which I trust enough to use for skincare, not for edible consumption. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all the things down below.